like that right now, the blue button. And now we are on live on YouTube. Just 1 minute. I'm sorry.
Bless you.
Yes.
So, thank you. So, good morning, people. It's one more immersion. So, I like to start this conversation as always, saying that TNT is a conversation for all levels, beginners, intermediate, and advanced English. But it's not a class, it's an immersion, it's a conversation. So, I'm here to learn together, guys. I'm a host student, I'm not a teacher. So, I believe today is not necessary to speak different because we are three, so it's totally okay. And I believe the last and so important thing to remember is please don't correct anyone. He is a safe place. So let me make my mistakes because I made a lot of them. I make a lot of them, like right now. So today we're going to talk about will the generation Z shape the world? About this generation Z. Okay. I don't know what is going on, but let's talk about it. Ricardo, can you introduce yourself?
Okay. Uh, I'm Ricardo. I live at São Vicente, is a small city of São Paulo state, south coast from São Paulo. São Vicente is the first city of Brazil. I'm married. I have a daughter. I have pets, 2 cats. I work on IT area, could it be? It's more properly telecommunications, but nowadays every people used to say IT. And the love what movies, hang out with my friends, family, dancing, sometimes go out. Uh, well, that's it. I'm here again to try learn English.
It's amazing. So, Sydney, it's your turn. Can you introduce yourself?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sydney. I'm 39 years old. I currently live in Belo Horizonte, where I've built my professional and personal life. Uh, I work as an accountant. I like to work in that career, that field, because it allows me to use my abilities, my skills of solving problem, finance, organization. I'm a familiar guy, so I'm a dedicated father and the husband. I'm married with a wonderful woman, and together we have one son. He's 6 years old, and our son, with his curiosity and energy, keep us in our toes. And I appreciate a lot to stay with them. I work in a hybrid mode, so on Sundays and Fridays I work remotely. So it permits me to have a good work-life balance, to stay with them with more time to spend with my family. And I think it was a little about me. Thank you.
It's amazing. So, people, I'm Victoria. I am 26 years old. I live in the best city ever, Rio. And I have a son too. He's 6 years old, and I know how see a son sleeping just bring peace. It's amazing. Like you see, and oh
Like
my
I
God,
enjoy.
he's so cute. Yeah, I know it. I know it. So let me see. I'm a nurse. I know I don't look like a nurse. When I say it, everybody say, "Okay, nurse with tattoos and piercings." Yeah, I'm a nurse. And I don't know. On my free time, I like to do nothing because I do a lot of things. Like, I'm a mom, I'm a nurse, I'm trying a new career. Like, now I'm studying web development, like full stack. So it's so hard being these, like doing a lot of things and have a free time and like to do something. No, I like to do nothing, just relax. But I used to painting, skating, and like playing video games. I really love playing video games. And I believe it. I'm here on Talk and Talk since December 2022, but as a host since this year, January 2024. So in 1 month, I will just turn 1 year of host here on Talk and Talk. So I'm happy. And I believe it's it. I talk a lot. So let's begin in the immersion. Sydney, can you read? This time you can read. So
Yes.
can you read and answer the second question?
A second. Okay. How do you describe Generation Z's attitude towards traditional values and the institutions? Well, yeah, it's a interesting question. I think, well, people in the people from the generation, the Z, I think they consider the traditional value institutions a little different. Consider the past generations. I think they are discussing it more. They want to have a more reasonable answers about some process, how the things works in terms of institutions. I think in terms of the government, the governmental system, for example, the democracy, the capitalism. I think they are more they are now more asking about that things, and they are trying to find solutions to solve some problems, to fix some problems. I think nowadays, because the advance of technology, they have more time. They are using that tools, that digital database to find more information, to be aware about things that are affecting, impacting their lives in terms of the world issues, for example, climate change, the conflicts, war, the interaction between among countries. Although they they are more susceptible, is not susceptible, but as long as they start to rely on different things, and I don't know, maybe they, how can I say, but most of them, they want changes, and I think changes, there are positive and negative effects about changes. So I think that's it.
Okay, you said about like having more information, and I like it because when I was thinking about the Generation Z, I was like, okay, it's people like me and people like my my son, yeah, my son, it's not my son, like near my son. So it's different minds, you know, like so I was thinking, how can it work? But when you said about information, like getting more access to information, that opened my mind. I like that point of view. I like it. Maybe we are different, like we are thinking different because you are thinking, okay, the positive and negative. I'm just thinking in the positive because I don't want to think in the negative. They are bigger. But I like that way to think. So Ricardo, what do you think about it? Question number two.
Well, well, the people used to say it's not so clear, uh, the phase, uh, the generation period, but essentially is as the first decade from 21st century. So in this case, this generation have a closer relationship with internet, computers, and the other stuffs because they were born in when the internet started to arrive in our house, our homes, and in particular cell phones and the other stuff. So in this case, it's very common. This kind of people uh, have well using every day, every time gadgets and the other stuff, video games, play online and the others, things connected to this world. Uh, the people used to say that this kind of generation is a little not so focusing sometimes, because always searching for a post on internet or social media and the others tools. And that's sometimes when I uh, listen to something like that is a little weird for me, because the parents from another generation. So yeah, maybe could be responsible too, for this kind of attitude. I don't know. When I maybe this generation could be a little different, but essentially when you, for example, go to the restaurant, it's common. You could observe the kids using cell phones or tablets or another stuffs, but the adults too, the mother and the father don't see each other in your face, uh, in their faces, and I don't know, play something, or I don't know. I'm a different profile because I don't have this kind of necessity. For example, take pictures and post on the social media. I like to social media. I believe that's is a great tool. It's possible to, for example, uh, uh, you could find friends. Sometimes you became a little keep away because of the jobs, because of the life in general. Uh, but I don't know. I believe that is essentially I we have a plan. We You should have a plan. Uh, Try to do the best relationship with every people. So in this case, understand the difference is the key. I believe it's you have to understand the difference and uh, try to respect. I believe that's it.
Okay, now I can see it. We are real in a different generation because when you said about kids using cell phone, I was okay, it's normal. And you said, okay, parents using cell phone, yeah, it's normal. But yeah, like we think totally different. Yeah, it's different. It's different. It's a totally different generation. Like I believe I'm near from my son's generation than your generation, Sydney and Ricardo. I can be totally wrong, okay, but I believe so. So I don't know. Like I try, like me myself, I try to not let my son use cell phone a lot. Like he can use cell phone during the week, unless he can do everything that he have to do before going to school. I let my son just talk to her grandma. Don't He can't play games, he can do anything else, just talk to his grandma using the cell phone. But I don't know, like for me it's normal, like weekends, if I go out and my son wants to use the cell phone, yeah, I will let him use, it's not a problem, he passed all the week without cell phone, so during the weekend it's okay. But I don't know, it's so different, it's so different. So now I can see the difference between generations. But I don't know, guys. How would I describe Generation Z that toward traditional values and institutions? I don't know. I don't like the traditional, guys. I don't like the traditional. Maybe I am in the Generation Z, so I don't like too much, you know. I don't know if I saw a lot of bad things in the last generation that I don't want to, you know, continuing doing it. And maybe I saw a lot of bad situations that I say, okay, I don't want the traditional. I want to do something new, something better. You know, I don't want to do the same thing, the same bad thing that I saw the last generation done, did. I don't know. I don't know the English. But you know, I don't want to make the same mistakes. So in my mind, the traditional is not so good. I want to do something new. I want to be me, you know, like don't be like the others. I want to create the new version of something. It's not a new generation. Just be different, you know, like trying to not make the same mistakes. So I'm not saying that I'm doing everything right, okay? Probably not. Probably I'm doing a lot of things wrong, but trying to be right. So I don't know. I don't like the traditional too much. There are little things, a little bit that I like, but it's not so much. So I believe talking to you guys is really different. Is really different. I can see it. Like we have values, different values, and we have different ways of think, ways, different ways to see things. So I don't know. I believe it's so different, but I can imagine it's wrong. You know, I believe it's just different point of views. I can be totally wrong. Wrong. I can, but I hope no. So I don't know, guys. I believe I don't know about the new kids, you know. Like we have a lot of information, like you said about information, guys, and it's worry me because when we were younger, we didn't have access to internet. Yeah, me too. Internet, a lot of information. I didn't have a cell phone who I can just search in the word. I have a cell phone that I can play the snake game. That's it. The only thing, the only cool thing that I could did, I could did, yeah, I could do, I could did, yeah, I could don't do is just playing the snake game. So my son nowadays he can just search in the word on the cell phone. So it's totally different, you know, and that's worry me because I don't know. It's out of our control. I know we don't have to have the control of everything, but when it's a kid, we have to have control, you know, because they are forming the brain, the personality, everything, that age. So we have to have control. So I don't know about the Generation Z that born like in 2011. I don't know. That people worry me because it's different, you know. I can't talk about them. I'm not being around them, so I can't talk about them. But I don't know. I hope everybody just using the new values for the right side. So I don't know. I these questions are made me think a lot. Sydney, no, Ricardo. Can you read and answer the next one?
Sure. How will you describe Generation Z attitude toward traditional values in institutions? Well, that's
I'm sorry,
sometimes
it's not question number two. I'm sorry, it's three.
okay.
We
I'm
read
sorry,
the two.
no problem. How do you think Generation Z openness to diversity and inclusion impact society? Well, uh, sometimes, well, uh, this this generation uh, have a good relationship with this new word, and we receive students in classrooms, and if some this kind of uh, people, I'm not sure if sometimes it's hard to say in Portuguese, and sometimes sound like not so respectful, no? But sometimes, for example, nowadays the people receive people have this kind of condition, huh? uh, and so this case is easier for these people because he lived with these people since they were children. So in this case, it's much better you understand this new word. Sometimes you feel we, the other generations, us from another generations, they are so touchy, huh? And this person don't think because it's simply they lead if this part of our society uh, since they are children. So in this case, uh, they just simply don't think about it. It's just have a good relationship, as good as possible. And the another generations have different maybe thoughts, because our structure, educational structure, and the family structure is different when you was born in the we are born in the or when you are students or students actually. So in this case, I know I could see, for example, in my child classroom there are people have this kind of condition, and my daughter simply don't think about it or don't tell anything about it. It's just one more student. That's it.
Okay, it's cool. I like it. We have different point of views, but I like it, because even if you're not so into it, you didn't have to put these people down. So I really like it. Even if you have a different point of view, you're just okay, it's okay. It's not my normal, but it's okay. And I like it. I really like it. So Sydney, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, it's so interesting. We have the same ages. I think in about 10 years of difference each other. But I think it is reaching a lot our conversation because, for example, I think nowadays that new generation they are more open about that individuality. They focus more in their individuality. I think in terms of to to be different from the other. I think something give the generation opportunities to how can I say to be different in a group. For example, like Victoria, your tattoos. I think your tattoos give you. I think you can reflect your personality,
Yeah.
individuality, through your tattoos, your
Yeah.
breathing, the way you think, your thought.
I'm sorry, Sydney. It's so weird, because, for example, I don't know what, maybe 20 years ago, one of the person have a tattoo is different, and nowadays is totally crazy because, for example, me, I don't have tattoos, and I'm a strange guy because when I go to the shopping or to mall or any kind of party, I'm a a weird guy because
Yeah.
Every people have tattoos nowadays, including elderly people, no?
My grandma has a
Mm.
tattoo, so just go
Yeah.
and do a tattoo. But I agree with you guys. Like nowadays, it's easier to see people with tattoo than without a tattoo. But when I working, when I'm in a hospital, I have to cover my tattoos
Okay.
because
Yeah.
people don't look so well to tattoos in the hospital. Like they don't think nurse can be tattooed. Piercings, I have to take it off because, of course, I can't be with piercings or some things like that because it's dangerous, you know. But tattoos, it doesn't make any sense. But when I just enter in a room, just talk to people, to the patients, and they see that I have a tattoos, they are so, I don't like it too much. It's a nurse, it's the technician, it's, they don't allow too much.
Yeah.
It's different. Until today is kind of different in the hospital, just in the hospital. Just continuing, Sydney.
Yeah, I think it's getting the I think that new generation is transforming little by little the workplace as well. I think in the offices, in that kind of the company that we need to attend a client in a, I think in a inner situation, maybe in the office, it's more acceptable. In my company, I think 3 years ago. We didn't have no one with tattoos, but nowadays there are more people who have tattoos than before. Yeah, although the partners of that company, one of them, he is I think conservative,
Conservative,
conservative, exactly. Thank you, Ricardo.
no
Conservative,
problem.
and
I
the
believe that.
other, yeah, the other is more. Ah, progressist, I can say. But it's impossible to choose, I think, a good professional, consider their tattoo, their hairstyle, their something like that. It's not about, it's not impacting their results in their performance, I'd say. And another thing that nowadays that new generation, they are more open to diversity, the minority groups, LGBT, I think immigrants as well. They composed that minority groups. They are suffering a lot of discriminations, preconception in many countries because in nowadays it's more easy because the conflict and because it become easier to go to another country, the people considering to that option to find a safe place to find to with more opportunities and to have a good life. So because that it become a problem in many countries, and I think that new generation they are accepting more that kind of things because it's intolerable. It's unavoidable, inevitable, unavoidable. I think maybe, and yeah, it will become part of your current life in the future. And I think they will. I think they will need. They will deal with that situations easily, than the last the past generations maybe.
Yeah. Like you said about the immigrants, like, do you think the immigrants are less prejudiced than in the past? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Prejudice,
Like,
we talk
preconceito,
about
tipo, eles
ah
estão sofrendo menos preconceito do que sofreu antes. Maybe I can talk wrong, the question wrong, so I talk Portuguese,
no,
sorry.
it's okay. It's no, I think nowadays they are suffering more preconception. It's because I think all I think the countries is if I think it's about the government and about that the economic crisis, the global economic crisis that is that a lot of people are losing their jobs and they start to think that the immigrants is taking their jobs. Uh, but it's more, I think, about that, about it's more related about the job market and that the immigrants. But I think in the future, I don't know if it will that economic crisis will finish. But in terms of it, I think it's more about that because I don't remember, I don't know, 10 years, 20 years ago, if some that things happened and that fight, that violence against the immigrants and that laws against immigration as well, like Donald Trump were discussing in their some statements about against immigration that we will deport immigration, but it's illegal. It's more about illegal immigrants. It's not about I think legal. But even legal immigration immigrants, everyone want to work. So I think the main objective of every immigrant is to go to some country to find a job. And I think that's the big problem about jobs, about the job market, the economy.
Kind of 10 years ago, people who live in England, they had to return to their home because they are finishing something like if you are not passing 10 or more years, you have to return to your home, like to your country, like England, London. I remember because I was there and I was talking to a Brazilian girl who worked in a pub and he was talking, okay, thanks God that I don't have to return to Brazil because here is better than Brazil, but everything is changing and people who has less than 5 or 10 years have to return because, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
I
I
don't know the
heard.
name of the situation, but I remember something like that. So 10 years ago, that was happened. It was 10 because my son wasn't born and my son is 6. So there are more than 6 years.
Yeah.
So, immigrants always has problem. Like nowadays, people who is going, Brazilian people who is going to Portugal, they are using to work in a really really bad situation, like going to restaurants and things like that, but not work in a normal restaurant. You have to work more time. We don't have, like, like the rights. You don't have it. You are working in a bad situation for them because you're going to a better way of life, so you are accepting everything. They are thinking like that. So I don't know. I believe people like immigrants needs a better situation nowadays. Like
Yeah.
until nowadays, I don't
Yes.
think it's good enough. I can be totally wrong because I'm not an immigrant, but I believe they need more better situation. But how do you think Generation Z opens to diversity inclusion impacts society? It's so well, guys. I love this. Oh my God. I
Mhm.
believe I'm the only one that will say something like that. But I like the diversity and the inclusion and things like that that the new generation is doing. I believe they have to have a limit. We can just, okay, everything is open and everybody can do everything, and no, it's not something like that. It's like diversity and inclusion. We are trying to be equal, no more than the other groups. Because if one is more than the other one, it will be out of control. So I believe we have to have the same rights, but limits, control. So, but I like it because let's talk about LGBT. Like, in when you burn Sydney, There are a lot of LGBT person. And Ricardo too. Ricardo, when you were born, there are a lot of LGBT person. They doesn't like, oh my God, in the past they doesn't exist and now they exist. No, they were there every time. But
Yeah,
in the past, they have to hide it because if they just show this side, they can be killed, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't there to know about it, but it was different. And nowadays we can do it. Like we can just go out in the streets and is everything okay? Everything okay? It's not okay. Like we can see until today a lot of bad things happen, but it's better than the past. This I can say. So, I like the diversity. I like the inclusion. I like this because everything that exists nowadays exists in the past. That the difference is because in the past they hide it and they have to control everything. They have to make a face, a mask to anyone don't know about it. So it's uncomfortable. They exist in the past and today. So I believe if you're having a better situation of living to them, why not? You are not looting or fighting. You are not fighting for your place. You are not fighting for being better or having more than the other people. We are just fighting for being equal, the same, like having the same rights. So I don't know. I like the diversity and I like the inclusion and not about only the LGBT. I believe the immigrants too because they are working. People don't like to working in that same work that immigrants do.
Yeah.
So, I believe equal is better for immigrants, LGBT community, or I don't know. I don't know. I can be wrong, but about it's not disabled the name, you know? Deficiente. Is it
Uh,
disabled? It's
yeah,
not disabled.
that disability.
Disability. Yeah, maybe. I believe it's good for them too because in the past they don't think about them. So people who imagine autism, they don't have like they can't go out in a normal situation like and nowadays they can because we accept it more. Accept. We don't have to accept, like we have another mind. So I believe inclusion and diversity is cool, but limits. Nobody have to be more than the others.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter the group. I believe everybody has to be equal.
yeah,
There is a name for it. It's not equal. Is oh my God. It's because when you're in a group that you have more to be equal, like it's one of the principles of the SUS. And I'm not remembering it. Oh my God. But it's something like that, because people who is blind, they can just go out and be in a street as you are, as I am.
yeah,
So we have more to be there and be equal, but they have more to be equal, I don't know. I will remember the name, but I believe I like it. Like everybody exists in the past in that same situation. Nowadays, we are just giving them a better way of life. Just
yeah.
it. I can be totally wrong, okay, guys? It's just my
Okay.
opinion. It's just my
No,
opinion.
well, personality, I agree with you. Nowadays, there are laws, I think, regulate legislation to prevent and to punish some discrimination. And also, I think there are ways that the people are more concerned about their situation and they are trying to treat them. I think they are treating them the well than before and give them opportunities as well. I think a lot of company has some vacancy position to that people. I think, and also the government has some program, some laws to force that big companies to, I think, to promote some maybe positions, vacancies, jobs for that people who have physical limitations, maybe.
Yeah. So what do you think about it, Ricardo? I really like to hear their opinions, guys, because maybe I can be wrong. And when people say the point of views, I can open my mind. So I like to hear the opinions. So Ricardo, what about you? What do you think about it? Am I wrong or totally partially? What do you think
Yeah.
about it?
Uh, as I told,
Say it,
uh,
say it.
as I told, I don't see. I don't. I I use it. Actually, I don't see so big difference between generations. Yeah, exactly. There are some particular things, but uh, when do you introduce that, for example, technology on our society? Normally, doesn't matter which age. The certain part of the people, for example, 15 until 50, maybe assume this technology or this new behavior, and suddenly is every people are doing the same thing. For example, tattoos, and the suddenly, the first people is around 20 to 30 years old, and suddenly the other generations is assuming, particularly because on the TV, on the internet, the people normally the people have access and the promote this kind of attitude is from this part of these people, this, this mankind. And it's hard, rarely, for example, when you watch a movie or soap opera, or doesn't matter, there are another places too, but essentially the people from 25 years old, 30 years old is so the the young is more attractive. For example, if you watch a advertisement, the people use it on this advertisement is from this age. So in this case, it sounds like a guide from our mankind, and going to talk about behaviors or tendencies or another stuff. So for example, 30 years ago is the same. The people from advertisement or soap opera is more from this age. And I believe that the Generation Z could promote the tendency and the others' behaviors because of that. Uh, in the particular, when talk about this kind of thing, is much more about education or uh, the way of view. For example, I live at São Vicente, but I was born at Santos. Santos and São Vicente is particular the same city. That's weird, because it's the same island, and you are driving on an avenue in front of the beach, and then suddenly you change for another city, and any people notice, because don't there are signs or another stuff, but essentially the behavior is totally different. For example, when I was a kid and lived at São Vicente, every people introduce each other or just say hello. Even, for example, if you never see people, you just pass and they don't say anything. But if you live at the same neighbor and you used to see the same people a lot of times, normally the people say hello and they try to make some kind of friendship. But when I move to the to some saint, it's totally different. For example, I live at the same building, and the well, I always uh, find the people on the stairs, for example, and the I say good morning, and the people just move the head and don't say anything. So it's is very close. For example, where I uh, lived in Santos from my house when I moved to São Vicente is maybe 50 minutes or 20 minutes driving. So, but the behavior changed completely. So I believe that the people is more affected from family and the other stuffs than this kind of thing, generation or thing. But certainly the how do you say, the TV and the internet certainly causes some kind of effect. That's it.
I believe there is a lot of things on it, like here in Rio, people are more like don't talk to anyone. In
Yeah.
any generation, I believe they don't like to
For
talk.
particular at, for example, São Paulo is different because there are more people living. I don't know,
Yeah, I
but
believe it's about small city, like when you're
yeah,
living in a
exactly.
small city, it's more close.
I
So,
believe that my city and my region is not exactly so small, no? Because, for example, maybe Santos and São Vicente should be almost 1 million people. So not so
yeah,
small. And as I told you, when I moved to the Santos to São Vicente, I noticed the difference because it's very common that people say hello each other on the streets.
yeah, I don't know. I realized that in Rio, like the center, and I don't know.
Yeah, and São
There are,
Vicente is smaller,
yeah,
because Santos have
yes, of
six,
course.
6,500
Yeah,
people, and the São Vicente just 300. It's in the 60,000,
yeah, it's different.
100,000.
So, unfortunately, we don't have more time. Like we're
Oh
pressing
yeah,
it.
exactly.
So,
Sorry.
people from YouTube, thank you for being here. It was a pleasure.